Oh hey guys, this is me from the future wanting to tell you what you're going to be hearing about on this video today. So I did all the research and I figured out the answers to 3 different questions. Number 1, is Fall Out Boy a sellout to pop music? Number 2, what do they sing about the most? And number 3, what is the most unique song on the album? These are the questions we'll be talking about today. I'm going back to editing. All right, fun times. Bye. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Pop Song Professor channel. Today we're talking about how Fall Out Boy writes lyrics. And instead of getting all fancy smancy, hello everybody and welcome to my study/studio. Today we're gonna answer the question, how does Fall Out Boy write lyrics? And because I didn't want to necessarily go all the way back and look at all their stuff because they've changed so much, which maybe that's a good future video, how has Fall Out Boy changed writing their lyrics? Today I wanted to talk just about how they wrote their last album. So I'm gonna take you guys on a spreadsheet journey with me. Basically, I'm gonna take their 10 songs from Mania, and we're going to put them through like basically calculators. And we're gonna use that quantified data to figure out exactly how they write their lyrics. And you guys are gonna come along with me through the process and we'll figure it out together. I mean, obviously, I'm just talking to a camera right now, not real people, but you know what I mean. So yeah, let's give it a shot, and let me go ahead and start by showing you what I've got so far. Basically, if you have ever done anything research-wise, this is my methodology. It's how I prove what I prove. So first of all, I've got the lyrics here, and I've only done 5 songs so far because I wanted to show you guys what I was working on. These are basically all of the lyrics. And then here's the spreadsheet where I keep track of it all. So we've got up here a column for each of the different songs, and then over here are the things that we're measuring. So word count, number of lines, number of repeated lines, the percentage of repetition in the song, lines that contain a rhyme, and then basically lazy rhymes, syllable counting, so how many syllables they use per word. We're gonna be looking at whether their songs are complicated or just pretty obvious. And then we're gonna look at a list of different topics that show up. So I've already found a couple of results so far, but it's really truly too early to tell just off of 5 songs since that's only half of the album. And especially since the last half of the album I thought was overall more complicated and interesting than the first half. Yeah, so the first thing is that so far already the percentage of repeated lines stays pretty consistent from about 0.47 to 0.55, which is not a lot of difference. There's a little bit more variation with how often they rhyme in the song with, 71% here all the way up to 89%, but you can see that they're definitely a very rhyme-heavy band. And then the percentage of lazy rhymes just wildly changes throughout the course of the thing, so we'll have to see if maybe we need to get rid of some of the outliers in the data later on. I want to show you guys how I do this too. My brother is super awesome and he programmed this for me, the song lyric analyzer. I have to do a little bit of editing to the lyrics to make things work, but I basically copy paste them into here, and then I go to the bottom and I press analyze. It tells me how many lines are repeated and what that percentage is. It's super, super awesome. I used to do like count all of the words by hand, and that was insanely difficult. I also count the number of lines total using this website, toolsfornoobs.com. That's not a huge compliment, I guess. And then over here I have syllable counter, which is the most accurate syllable counter I've found. And so it'll give me the words and the syllables and the characters if I wanted it. You can see it right there. But yeah, that's where we're at so far, and now, so that you guys feel like you're part of the process, I'm gonna create a time lapse of me doing this. It's gonna be the world's most boring time lapse ever. Get ready for it. This time lapse is gonna show me analyzing Heaven's Gate. So let's do it. And I just realized that it's probably actually pretty boring watching from that perspective. So let's switch over to the computer. Yeah, and that's basically how it's done. So it took me about 5 minutes to analyze the one song. So you can, with this album, it could take me pretty easily between an hour to an hour and a half if I would just laser focused in on it and I had somebody watching me do it the whole time and I wasn't getting distracted by Facebook and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other 4, and then we're gonna chat about what we find. Bye. All right, we finally made it. I got all 10 songs quantified and counted and all that good stuff. Actually, that's not true. I haven't even looked at them yet, so we can look at them together. Alright guys, we have our results, so let's jump into our 3 questions. Number 1, is Fall Out Boy a sellout for pop music? Now a lot of you are probably gonna already have very strong feelings about this, but according to actual data, it's looking pretty bad for the guys. Mania is very repetitive at 48%. Basically every other line is a repetition of another line. And pop music is huge about repetition because it makes the songs easier for people to understand and easier for them to memorize so that they'll sing it more and so that they'll buy it more. And there are also a lot of rhymes with about 74% of the lines rhyming with another line. And that's very standard for pop music as well. But of that 74%, about 2/3 of those rhymes are just repeated words. Which I'm not gonna say makes them less creative, but I definitely think it's a lazier version of rhyming. There's also not a lot of complicated words. Eminem had an average syllables per word of about 1.25. Fall Out Boy is at 1.20. That's pretty significant. It means that out of every 6 words, only 1 has 2 syllables and the rest all have 1 syllable. So that makes for some pretty simple lyrics. And interestingly, when you compare the 3 most popular singles to the rest of the album, all of these statistics hardly change at all. Even though there are a couple of songs that don't really fit the mold, this album is pretty much the same all the way through. And that sameness is very much a pop engineered format. In some ways, I like to think that Fall Out Boy has sort of tricked die-hard punk fans into actually liking a mainstream band. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to question 2. What do they sing about? Well, 60% of their songs are about some romantic interest, and half of those songs are about the mythical idea that there's only one person for me in the whole world. Half of their songs on this album also pay homage to a very popular punk topic, the idea of overcoming obstacles. It's very true to the genre, especially since the punk genre is all about, you know, we angry few who must rise over the system that oppresses us. And then finally, they try to be relatable in a lot of their lyrics, but I unfortunately think that they end up failing. They basically have 2 emotions or ideas throughout the album, and one of them is, we're gonna be cool and awesome and, you know, win, and the other one is, I really, really need you to love me. But they never share specific enough details or get vulnerable in really any way by telling, you know, exactly what people are struggling with or dealing with or going through personally or emotionally. And that motif of having like a generic lover or overcoming generic difficulties is another hallmark of pop music, where they want you to be able to put your own struggles or lovers into the blank spaces. And the third question, what is the most unique song? And the answer is Young and Menace. Out of all the songs on the album, this one was the most likely just to do something completely weird, and it's largely due to the fact that I think the song is supposed to be experienced musically. It's only got 222 words compared to the average 366. Only 20% of its lines are repetitious compared to the average 48%. It only rhymes about half of the time instead of 3/4 of the time. And its vocabulary at 1.17 syllables per word is even simpler than the average. There aren't a lot of words and there aren't a lot of ideas to grasp onto into the song Young and Menace, except for the very phrase that names it, Young and Menace. And really, I think that speaks to what the album as a whole is trying to accomplish. Fall Out Boy isn't so much about lyrical depth and understanding ourselves more truly and better through the lens of somebody else's vulnerable perspective. Fall Out Boy is more about a sound and nostalgia for a sound, or being able to go to the band for that particular sound or that feeling of overcoming obstacles or passionately needing somebody. I think that's what they do best. And so I'm not gonna try to squeeze water out of a stone as I try to find some deep meaning in the lyrics. Fall Out Boy has decided what they value, and they've done a fairly good job at it. So say their fans. And I think it's particularly interesting how Young and Menace, and just kind of the average gist of the album itself, shows that in the numbers. But guys, I thought this was really fun. It was enjoyable to go through this album with you, albeit through the camera. And I'd love to know if you like this format better than for some of the previous How Artist Writes Lyrics videos. Tell me what artists you want me to analyze and dissect and mathematize next, and I'll talk to you guys next time.